Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, 24/7 Self-Service Customer and Vendor Portals, presented by DynamicPoint. I'm Emily Tigert, Marketing Programs Manager at Key2Act. Before we get started, I'd like to mention all of our attendees will be muted throughout the webinar. If you have a question at any time, please use the questions module on your toolbar, and we'll follow up with those questions towards the end of the webinar. Today's session will be recorded, and we'll share that recording with our attendees just as soon as it's available. Now I'd like to introduce you to our presenters today, Tiffany Allen and Mike Marson.
Thank you, Emily. Hi, all. My name is Tiffany Allen, and I'm actually going to do a quick video share. I know I probably shouldn't do this. My kids would be like, what? You don't have a filter on there, Mom. But I'm going to be at Synergy at the end of the month, so I wanted just to allow you guys to connect a face with a name. I'm Tiffany Allen, the portal lady. I hope you'll come find me. I'd love to introduce myself, learn more about any of your requirements or needs. So I'll definitely see you all in person, those that can attend towards the end of the month. Let's stop that though, not fair. All righty, let's get started. I also have on the line with me today Mike Marson. He's our Director of Business Development. He'll probably be pretty hush-hush until we get to the tail end for questions. But just wanted to ensure that you've got all resources on hand here at DynamicPoint as we learn about customer portals for Key2Act. So I had the pleasure of meeting with Jeff Nelson on the Key2Act team regarding some of the current needs within your customer base, within the Key2Act customer base, specific to portals. So together, we've worked together with a handful of customers such as yourselves to formulate the demonstration today as what we see as a potential need for the customer portal. Keep in mind, our portal solutions are completely flexible, very configurable in the terms of the data that we can expose from Dynamics. So you're going to kind of see our out-of-the-box vanilla Key2Act portal today, but would love to learn more about your requirements as we get through the session. All righty, a little background about DynamicPoint. If I could, there we go. A little background about DynamicPoint. We were founded 10 years ago. We actually came up the ranks of implementing and configuring the Microsoft Dynamics GP product line out here on the West Coast in LA. We quickly saw that there were some gaps in which we thought SharePoint would be a great platform to leverage. So we came to the marketplace with an expense management solution 10 years ago. We've since added on a requisition management product where you can automatically create purchase orders in your Dynamics environment, invoice or AP automation, as well as customer or vendor portals. We chose SharePoint as the foundation, as the building block of our product line, because really what it did was delivered us a tremendous amount of rich functionality out of the box. First, we were already in bed with the Dynamics product line, so we wanted to continue to build on the Microsoft stack. SharePoint, being that collaboration tool, allowed us to have out-of-the-box integration with Outlook, allowed us a workflow engine that we could layer into our product development. Our expertise came into play in the fact that we knew how to use SharePoint and we were living and breathing inside Dynamics GP. So what we have found is really the mix of being able to extend data from Dynamics and also conversely push data back into Dynamics with a real-time bi-directional integration. So as we look at the portal product is really on the Office 365 or SharePoint online framework. And it integrates directly to any of the Dynamics ERP products. In 10 years, we've continued to expand and tackle all of the Dynamics ERP solutions. So if 365 or AX Nav CRM is in your future, that's an option for you as well. And what we've done is we've tailored that portal unique to the user. Who is it that we need to extend information to? Is it a customer? Is it our vendors? Is it employees? So we look to understand what is what is the need for a customer versus a vendor is very different. Today we'll look at a customer portal that's exposing information uniquely, specifically from the Winsoft or Key2Act module for you all. I'm not quite sure how much time we need to spend on this slide. I think the reason that over 50 of you are in this session today is you see the need behind a customer portal. Not only are customers demanding it, but you can you realize what benefits you have internally in terms of improved efficiencies and customer relations. And at the end of the day, really streamlining your process is always going to ultimately have an impact to your bottom line. So if they've been clamoring for it, here's your options available. So I'm going to go ahead and switch screens and do a screen share. Forgive me, we'll bounce a bit here. I'll pause. How about that? That was probably better. All righty. So now I am logged into our Office 365 SharePoint portal product. In the top left-hand corner, you're going to go ahead and see our DynamicPoint icon. So theoretically, the use case today is that I am accurate printing. I'm the customer accurate printing logging into the DynamicPoint portal to learn more about my service calls, my maintenance contracts, equipment, open invoices. But a couple housekeeping items before we get there is in the top right-hand corner, you'll see that I'm logged in as a DynamicPoint demo. I'm logged in as a super user today. And in your scenario, as you unleash and stand up a customer portal for your customers, you will grant them access via their email address. Their email address will be associated to their customer card within Dynamics. So you can have multiple contacts within one customer that is going to be able to gain access to this portal. You're simply going to store that information directly on the contact card for that customer within Dynamics. That's what's going to grant them access to the portal. What we do is our application has a synchronization service that says the logged in user is from abccompany.com. abccompany.com is obviously a registered customer within your Dynamics environment. So we're going to parse all of the data and present only information unique to ABC Company. Today, unique to only accurate printing. So that's what we're doing. We're creating one portal. Anybody that would log in that had customer information, service calls, maintenance agreements, or maintenance contracts, equipment, or invoices, if they have anything open in that capacity on their customer account, it would then be populated. So it's one portal that we're serving up on a unique one-to-one basis based on the logged in user that's associated to the customer card. Before we get into the specifics of what we're extending from Key2Act, I like to highlight just some things that are very vanilla, generic SharePoint, document sharing, collaboration tools that are delivered to you out of the box from SharePoint. First is a newsfeed. This is a great way in which you can share additional information unique to your customers, like updating them about a new product, a new service that you're offering, updating them on your holiday hours, whatever that may be. You can take advantage of that news feed to communicate with customers here. We also have the document sharing component on this side that's fully configurable. Maybe specification documents are not warranted within your business, or training documents are not, but you definitely want to have something for their maintenance agreements, or maybe it's an equipment catalog. You can certainly utilize the document sharing to ensure you've got one-to-one doc sharing with a customer. You can even extend them the rights to be able to upload information to you through the portal as well. You would get a notification that new documents have been uploaded. So what's nice there is it gets your customers out of email or out of their own file share internally trying to find a document unique to your organization. They know they can always visit their portal and find those most important documents right here under the document sharing section. One last thing to cover before we dive into Key2Act is you'll see this is all orange. If you visited DynamicPoint before hopping on the line today, this is kind of our icon. This is our symbol for who DynamicPoint is. You'll notice everything's orange and gray. That's our color scheme within our organization. Because we are building this on SharePoint, you have the flexibility to brand your portal unique to your company. It does not have to be orange. It does not have to have this font, this color scheme whatsoever. We will take your logo, your color scheme, and brand the portal unique to your organization to ensure as customers log in, they know they're in the right place. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. First and foremost, this is all configurable as well. The way our application works is you purchase your licenses and you can expose any information that's available to us via web services or eConnect. What we chose were a handful of items to peek at today, and we're going to start with customer information. And in this, it's kind of a generic term, customer information. In this case, Accurate Printing has multiple locations. And there's also a dashboard that we've found within your Key2Act, Key2Act data that we thought was kind of helpful and might be beneficial as a customer logs in. So we populated the dashboard information, which was highlighting financial details, balance, year-to-date invoices, total paid to date, last payment amounts, average days to pay. There's lots of different information that we're going to work with you to understand what's going to be most beneficial to the customer to see when they log on. Other element that we've got up here is the offices. So in this case, there's multiple locations, and we understand that to be true for many of you, for many of your customers. So we know that it's important to be able to highlight that there are those multiple locations. In this case today for our demo, we're doing a very simple read-only access. You certainly have the ability to allow customers to edit. So if the warehouse, maybe not the warehouse, what a move that would be. If the main office moved locations, the customer could certainly log in here, update their address information. It would trigger a notification within your organization as well as update dynamics for you. So one way that you can ensure that customers can interact within the portal, exposing the information, but also allowing them to make edits as necessary. Next, we're going to go to service calls, and I know this is near and dear to you all's heart. I have talked to a handful of prospects within the Key2Act family, and we've learned a lot about service calls in the last few months. What you're going to see here is all service calls as related to Accurate Printing. So we're going to see my little GoToWebinar pane. It's making it hard for me to navigate. There we go. You're going to see we've got both closed and open. You're going to see we've got a variable, all the different types of calls, as well as different locations. What's nice here is you can certainly filter. So as I'm logging in, what's most important to you, if I want to see only what's happening in the main office, I can quickly filter and confirm these are all the service calls, closed and open, that are associated to Accurate Printing. I also want to go ahead and drill in and learn more about this closed service call where we added free onto the system. So you can even drill into any of the information that's being pulled forward as needed. And here you'll see some additional service call information. We've even, on this case, populated the equipment, as well as the contract, service description, as well as the technician that was assigned on this particular service call. All righty. I'll bounce back to those service calls, because I think the one thing I want to really highlight for you guys is the nature in which the application works. And knowing that service calls are really one of the key components as you guys interact with customers is I'm actually going to switch screens here for a moment and highlight for you Dynamics GP so you can really see how the information is flowing. So we're in Accurate Printing. These are all the different service calls that are open. Let's see, we've got a roof leak that's emergent under the warehouse. So let's go find that in Dynamics GP. Here I'm in Dynamics GP. I'm in Winsoft. I'm going to open up Service Manager. In my case, I know Accurate Printing's 101. So I'm going to type in 101 real quick. There's Accurate Printing. I think we were going to look for the warehouse. So I'll move forward to the warehouse location. Were we looking for the roof leaking? Well, basically what you're seeing down below is every single one of those service calls that are then being populated and pulled forward. So what we're doing is via web services and eConnect, we're exposing any of those service call information directly into the portal for the customer to access in a real-time fashion. And if we wanted to create a new service call, let's see, Mike clogged the sink. Poor Mike, but he has to deal with it. We'll say a drain's plugged. I think, let's see, let me grab one other piece at the call type. We'll say it's emergent. And let's go ahead and save that. I want to highlight for you guys how that populates directly back into the customer portal. So again, we're creating a new service call for accurate printing, the warehouse, Mike's clogged the sink, the drain's plugged. We'll go ahead and hit save. While I'm in here, a couple other things I want to go ahead and highlight for you is, let's go back into Service Manager. And we'll go to 101 again. I bounced out, didn't I? If I go into the summary, this is kind of what I was highlighting for you guys before. This is where all that summary information came from on the customer, on the initial customer tab. Something like credit limit. If that's something that you wanted to expose to your customers, that they have an unlimited credit limit, maybe it's not, and you want them to be able to see that. This is certainly something that is configurable. So you can determine this is exactly what I want to expose versus don't. Again, we don't have their credit limit noted here, but that is all configurable. We're basically exposing that service or that page via the web services and eConnect for you. So that's just some things that I wanted to highlight that shows the integration between our application to your Dynamics GP Key2Act environment. We'll move on to maintenance contracts. We've understood, again, prospecting within, that this is something that's vitally important to you guys. And something that I noticed in running through the demonstration today is probably something advantageous to highlight that we did not, would be their maintenance contracts expiration dates. Right now, we're highlighting maintenance contracts by location, contract number, descriptions, amounts, technicians, but absolutely we should add within the configuration here the expiration date, so you guys, so your customers as they log in understand that this particular warranty or maintenance contract is coming up for expiration or for renewal in the near future. So that's certainly configurable for you all. Equipment, same scenario. This is a direct lookup directly from your Dynamics environment. You can query it and filter it based on locations. Equipment types, if there is a contract associated to it, we can certainly populate all that information for you as well. So just one direct source for your customer to log in and understand. Maybe, God forbid, they've purchased equipment from some of their vendor, and they have that much equipment that they really truly need to know what all DynamicPoint they've purchased from DynamicPoint. This is that location. This is this one source that they can go and quickly find that information readily available. The last thing I'm going to show is one that we've heard is a pretty significant pain point for you all, and that is exposing invoice information to your customers. We broke it down in a myriad of ways, and the main reason we do that is we just want to highlight for you the flexibility in which you can expose information to your customers. So if you've got sales invoices versus service invoices, we can certainly break that out for you. On the sales side, if that customer initiated it with a purchase order number, we've even populated that on the summary here, so they can dive into the appropriate invoice as needed. Obviously, we have the invoice total as well as due, so that it's clear to them that they know, hey, this has been paid and this still needs to be taken care of. Same scenario on the service side, we're pulling forward the description that's noted within the invoice, the amounts, as well as any amount due that still remains. And again, just to highlight the flexibility of the solution is we're even highlighting payments. So if you want to expose to them the payments that have been received, which can be very beneficial for them because it's going to highlight check numbers, that's something that may be more relatable to them, that they can search and query on. They can certainly, we can post the payment information that's going to expose check number for them as well. So before I open this up to questions, one of the questions I always get is, you'll notice that I've been in Internet Explorer today, but I am going to go ahead and open up a different session. I'm in Edge here. I'll open up our Key2Act portal. This is just some other portal information that we have going on. And the reason I want to do that is because that's one of the biggest challenges that we've heard about, is how accessible is this? You can navigate to this portal from any web browser. All they're going to need is their username and password. Additionally, your customers are not required to have a SharePoint license in order to access the portal. The only people that are required to have that SharePoint Online license is your organization itself. You are going to have a SharePoint Online or Office 365 license. If you're not utilizing Office 365 today, you can get a SharePoint Online license for $10 per month in order to be able to deploy our portal. So it's very cost effective in that sense. So if you were fearful about it being SharePoint and any cost associated with that, there's a huge benefit there. And that only you as an organization, people that are going to utilize the portal within your domain are required to have a SharePoint license. Your customers are not. Okay, I hope I remembered what I created. We created a new portal. We created a new service call. And it was the drain was plugged, right? Let's see, let's find this. Drain plugged. It's probably this most recent one. So we'll view that one. And this should be my Mike clog the drain. Mike can't take you anywhere. See, can't take that guy anywhere. Don't worry, I'm not going to bring him to Florida, people. So that's just highlighting for you guys how seamlessly the application integrates your Dynamics environment directly back to the customer portal. It is a real-time integration, absolutely. So with that, Emily, I think we're ready to open things up for questions.
Great. We do have a few questions coming in, so those are in your questions module, Tiffany.
Perfect.
And while you're reading those, just a reminder to our attendees, if you have a question, you can submit it using the questions module on your toolbar.
Oh, not the chat model, the questions module. Okay. Let me scroll up here. I need to hide some things so I can read these. Does DynamicPoint have an app for phones? Hang on one second, I can't see this fully. So
you want me to read them to you, Tiffany?
That would be helpful. I'm sorry, it's like showing one line.
Sure, yep, I'll read them to you. So the first one you saw already, does DynamicPoint have an app for phones?
So the SharePoint application is, SharePoint is mobile friendly, so you can certainly navigate to the portal from any browser, absolutely. And you do have the option to extend our application via a Power App. So I can even highlight for you guys, I'm happy to share a video after the fact. We have actually exposed and created a Power App from our portals in the past for other clients. So you certainly have the opportunity to customize a Power App unique to the portal that's developed.
Okay, next question is, does my customer/printer have to have Office 365 to use your portal?
I think I addressed that one already. Only yourself as an organization is going to be required to have the Office 365 or SharePoint Online licenses. Anybody outside of your domain that is accessing the portal is not required to have a SharePoint license. Part of the reason that's the case is Microsoft wanted to create a collaboration tool. They want you to use SharePoint to ensure you can communicate with others, but don't want it to be a hindrance for those outside of your organization to access that necessary information. So outside of your organization are not required to have a SharePoint license, Office 365 license.
Some more questions coming in here. Is there a single site for all customers, or is there a separate SharePoint site for each customer?
Mike, I'll let you answer that one.
Sure. So most of the time there's a single site for all customers, and then the data is being filtered, as Tiffany mentioned, based on the authenticated user. So their Office 365 login is mapped to their customer record, and then we use that to filter the data that's available for them. That being said, we have had customers who want to set up a separate site for maybe their top tier customers, so they could add, specific content and tailor that unique to that customer. I most certainly wouldn't suggest doing that for 100 customers, because then it becomes quite the maintenance effort. But there is absolutely, I think, a scenario there, or a potential that you want to set it up maybe for your, top 3 or top 5 or whatever it is, if you really want to make it unique. But that is no needs a requirement. Typically, it is just one site for all customers, and then the data is filtered based on their applicable user ID.
Thanks, Mike. Can you connect multiple customers under one customer? For example, if you have a property manager who manages multiple properties, that are each their own customer number, can Property Manager be given access to all in one place?
Yeah, so the way that we map that, so basically the Office 365 authentication uses their email that you've given them access to, and then we store that on the customer record in Dynamics as their address ID and their contact. So by all means, you could have multiple address IDs associated to one customer, and that can contain multiple logins. So if you wanted to, you could have several users who sort of are represented by or represent the same customer, and they would just be identified in Dynamics as different address IDs or contact records on that customer card.
Okay, the next question is, do customers have the ability to generate the invoice documents or just see the detailed information in list form?
Great question. So when it comes to generating like the invoice itself, if you're using a SQL report invoice, that could absolutely be exposed to the portal. If you're just using the generic report writer report within Dynamics GP, then unfortunately that cannot be generated. But if you are using the SQL services report, that can most certainly be generated from the portal. It is web-based, and we could call that, and then they could actually, print it or email it or save it as a PDF and whatever they want to from that invoice perspective.
Okay, a few more questions are coming in here. We still have a couple minutes. Will customers be able to create service calls? Is there any talk of showing a schedule of PM visits at the contract level?
So create a service call, we do have create capability. So you do have the functionality to create service calls. Is showing any summary of, you said, of project maintenance on a contract level, is that correct?
Yep.
So essentially, if that is rendered in something within Dynamics, it could be shown on the portal, or if there's a SQL report that we'd want to expose, we could do that as well. So as long as there's something that would have the information coming from Key2Act that you wanted to expose, and typically it has to be in the format of either data within Dynamics that we could render using the web services or using a SQL reporting, SQL services report, then that could be shared on the portal as well.
Does the portal accept payments?
So our typical approach to accepting payment, so we're not a payment processor by any means. So our typical approach is if you're accepting payment in GP already using something like Notice, and you have their payment gateway service, we could create that link such that once you see the invoice in our portal, there is a URL for them to click on that takes them to that payment gateway. So we are not our own payment processor, but if you are using payment processing within Dynamics GP, we can most certainly link you to their gateway such that a user could make a payment there.
Okay, we have a few more questions. They're pretty specific, so I think in the interest of time, I'll just save those. We can follow up after if you guys are okay with that.
Absolutely. Forward those on. Mike and I are happy to connect with them directly via email or even set up time to review in greater detail.
That would be great. So anyone who has still has a question unanswered, I have a copy of those, so I'll make sure to have Tiffany and Mike follow up with you. If any other questions do come up, please feel free to reach out to your Key2Act CSM as well. As I mentioned earlier, today's webinar was recorded, so we'll send the recording out to all of our registrants as soon as it's available. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.